Hi everyone, and welcome to another review on the Edge. So today we're going to be looking at this little chap that you see in front of you here, and this is the Fox Knives Suru. Fox Knives, for those who don't know, is a knife manufacturer out of Italy. Maniaggio, I don't know if that's Maniaggio or Maniago, Italy. And this particular knife is a Vox Design knife. Now, he's designed a number of knives for them. In fact, he's a chap that gets around a little bit. He's a custom knife maker. Really nice work. He's been around for a long time. But he's designed knives for a few other knife companies as well. So production versions of his designs by Boca. And he's done some work with CRKT as well. So this, as I mentioned, Fox Knives, lovely logo that Fox Knives have there. You can see the little fox etched onto the blade, really classy. But a beautifully designed knife, beautifully finished knife. This knife, the one I have here is the half titanium handle and half carbon fiber version. And some of you might know that the full carbon fiber version of this, so it's carbon fiber on both sides. It's quite unusual to have a carbon fiber frame lock knife, with the actual frame lock being carbon fiber. That knife won the overall blade of the year at the 2018 Blade Show. So yeah, clearly well liked, well received knife design. I've gone for the titanium version. I just like to have the titanium on the side there. Makes me feel a little bit better, both from a strength, and I'm not saying that this is better. It's my own issues I'm dealing with, trust issues. But I preferred this version also for the look of it. I really like this titanium side on the handle on this side with the bronze finish on some of the hardware. So you get this exact version where all those bronze bits are finished in a sort of lightish blue. Also good looking, but I particularly like this look. Anyway, before we carry on about the design, let's just go through some of the specs of this knife. So the knife, the blade steel that they used on this is the Bola M390. So really good blade steel on that. I've mentioned already, we've got the carbon fiber handle, carbon fiber on the one side, and that is titanium on the other side. You do have the little stainless steel insert on the inside there, and it's got, I don't know if you're going to actually be able to see that so well. Yeah, try to get close in, maybe you can. There's a little over travel stop, little extension, and you might be able to see it here. If I can get the light there, you can see it just sticking through a little bit there. So that's just the little extension on that stainless steel insert. So your lockup is stainless steel against stainless steel, and then that's that little extension to prevent the over travel. And then your hardware, as I mentioned, you've got the bronze finish on that, and it's Torx all around, so no proprietary stuff on that. In terms of the dimensions of the knife, so our overall length is 14.8 back to finish. I measured it slightly below that, but it was close enough to 14.8. Blade length was bang on to my measurements when I checked that. So blade length is 6 centimeters from that little corner over there to blade tip, 6 centimeters. That is 2.36 inches. The overall width, if I didn't mention that in inches, is 5.83 inches. Thickness, and I don't know if I actually checked that. So they state formal thickness on the blade, 4 millimeters being 0.16 inches. So let's check if they're on. Yeah, spot on. If you can see that. Squeezing it a bit there. There we go. Spot on 4 mils there, so that's accurate. So that's the 0.16 inches. And I didn't actually measure the full width, and boy, I haven't done the inch conversion. Sorry guys, I keep doing this. I might just add that as a little note. So that's 11.2 mils. You know, I'm so stupid. I can do inches right there. Oh, you genius. All right, so that's 11.3, 11.3, 11.2-ish, depending on, try not to squeeze too high, 11.2 mils overall width, and that is 44 inches. Wow, if you just use your tools properly. And that's excluding the pocket clip. Obviously, that's the piece that goes into your pocket, so that's the piece that's more important. In terms of the rest of the specs, what have we got? Weight, 72 grams, and that is 2.54 ounces. And I've got my trusty, shiny, reflective scale. Let's get that nicely centered on the light once again, so it looks like I've planned this. And crank that up. There we go. So grams, what did I say there? 72 grams is their claim. Okay, I've got 71. There might have been a little bit of rounding up on their side. I don't know, that's 72. Let's just see. If we go to ounces, 2.5, they said 2.54. So yeah, looks like we've got some honesty on that. All right, let's get into the design of the knife. So as I said, this knife is a Vox design. So that's Jesper Vox. So we spoke a little bit about him just now. So he's a knife designer out of Denmark, and this is very, very typical of his designs. So while he has some other sort of variations, this blade shape is quite distinctly his sort of shape, as is the scale. So nice, clean design. Really feels good in hand. It's a pretty small knife, but you can get a grip at the back of it. My hands, I've mentioned before in other videos, I've got medium hands. I consider medium-sized hands. I wear a large glove. Weirdly, how they do glove sizes. But yeah, I can just about get 4 fingers on there. The small finger dangling off the edge. But you'd probably typically use this knife choking up. You've got a really nice, decently sized front finger choil, so choking up on the blade is very comfortable, and you can get your hands on there quite comfortably. No jimping on it, but I suppose you don't really need it. I don't know how hard you're going to use a knife this size. Your back space has a little bit of, I don't know, probably more design than anything else. It looks like it's got a little bit of jumping on the back there, but as I say, it's probably just more of a design element. And it has the carbon fiber insert there, and you've got the lanyard hole. Never really quite understood what that's all about. I know people put the little bit of paracord and a bead and whatever on there to sort of pimp your knife slightly. Other than that, I can't really see who's going to use a lanyard as a lanyard. Well, you know what, I shouldn't say that. There might be people that use these knives for hard use, and if you're up a ladder or you're on scaffolding or you're up a building or on a mountain or whatever and you drop that knife, I suppose you don't want it tumbling all the way to the bottom. So I suppose a lanyard could come in handy. Right, and off I go, rambling. So the finish and design of the knife, really, really nice finish. I mean, lovely chamfering around all the, I suppose it'll help if I show you that, chamfering around all the edges over there, really nicely, smoothly done. These holes that are drilled in here that I suppose are as much for aesthetics as making the knife light. And in some areas they match. I suppose you couldn't match them all the way because you've got to consider the lock here. But they match up in some areas. But we've got that on the carbon fiber side as well, with also that same sort of chamfering around all the way the edge there. Nicely finished. So no chamfering on the edge of the blade there, but it is sort of softer, a little bit of a swedge on the edge of the blade there. You can see that. And the blade does sort of taper off to a little bit of a point in the end, but quite thick on the edge there. So quite a stout blade. Quite a deep grind. flat grind, and it's got that sort of satin finish. So you do see those little lines. See if I can catch that in the light. Those little lines running. I love it when a knife is like that. I've mentioned before, I do not like coated blades. I love it when you can see the steel, and I love it when you can see the sort of finish and the grind on it. The Vox logo nicely etched on there, really neatly done with the Maniaggio or Maniaggio or Maniago, I don't know. Italy, really nice there. And the M390, wasted enough time trying to pronounce that now off the video. Yeah, so, but here we get into this quirkiness. By the way, this is also a titanium clip, and I love the little ball that's done on the end there. So, it just makes getting it in and out of the pocket a joy. So before I get into the quirkiness of it, it is tip-up carry, and it is right hand only, which seems to be so common nowadays. And I guess lefties, like I say, have probably just learned to work around that now. Just the quirkiness about this knife. So, well, let's speak about the action first, before, again, I get to the quirkiness. I'm going to keep you in suspense. So we've got you can see the flipper tab at the bottom, really smooth on those ceramic bearings. It thumb flicks, well as well. You get your thumb in there and you can flick it using that cutout, and it spidey flicks well as well. So it flies out. There's a nice smooth action. You don't expect this to be drop shutty. It's got quite a strong lock on the back there, but it is absolutely smooth, and it does get sucked in nicely there. If you look on the inside as well, that was really powder puff. Let's try that again. So if we look inside there, see if I can get some light. I don't know which angle to do it. There, you can see the detent ball on the inside there. So that's also ceramic. So that's really nice. So beautiful design, high quality, great attention to detail. You can see here around the flipper tab how nicely that's been chamfered and actually polished around there. And then that polishing goes into the finger choil. It is just gorgeously finished. It really is. It's sort of luxurious almost around there. And the rest of the knife, everything is just well thought out. And then you get to this cutout. It is just so bizarre. There is absolutely no chamfering whatsoever or softening around the edge of that cutout. And it is, it's difficult to show that obviously on visuals, but it is absolutely sharp. I think I've left most of my thumbprint inside that hole. I probably can't do, any sort of fingerprints or biometric, unlocking of anything anymore, because I've left so much of my thumb inside there. So if anyone's looking for any DNA from me, all they've got to do is get hold of this knife, and there'll be plenty to go around on the inside there. It really is. It's kind of like a grater, and it's just so bizarre with all this attention to detail around the whole knife, this beautiful design, all the finishing. And it's just like, it's lunchtime. I think I'm going to go. I just leave it like that. It seems like such. I joke, I poke fun because, it's Italians. I do. I've said it before. I love Italian products. I love Italian design. I love their passion. I even love the way they speak. And I love, I've spoken about, not love. I must be careful how I say that. I'm a big Valentino Rossi supporter, and I do. I love the motorbikes. I love Ducati. I love MV Agusta. But it just seems so bizarre. It does seem almost like that Italian thing. It's like, let's just throw a little bit of quirkiness in there. It mustn't be completely perfect. So there's that. There's that rough edge on the inside, but I'm going to try and see if I can get some light on the inside of that cutout. It is totally and completely unfinished. You can see rough machine marks on the inside of that cutout, and it's just not in keeping with the rest of the knife. It's just so bizarre, so weird that they do that. And then let's speak about the edge. So let's see if I can get some light onto the edge of this knife. That edge is so roughly done, and the one side doesn't match the other side. And see if I can get it. There's just like a weird sort of unfinished, I don't know, the guy sneezed as he was finishing off the edge of that knife. Now, you'd say, well, you know, that could have just been a once-off. Well, it wasn't. The first knife I actually got, I took back to the dealer that I bought it from, because the two sides of the knife were completely different widths. And on the one side, it's like the guy ground the knife till about there, and it was nearing tea time, and he decided to take a short distance as possible to get to the edge there. So it just kind of took a grind across the one side. It was ludicrous. It was crazy. And then I looked at another knife where the knife came across over here, and then and I'm talking about the edge, the grind on the edge, and then there was sort of like a little corner. There's a little corner there. So this is the third knife that I looked at, and this knife's not perfect either. All that said, it still is a beautiful knife. All I'm really saying is, if you're going to go look for a knife like that, just check out the grind on the version that you get. Make sure that you get a relatively decent version. You know, as it is here, this could be fixed. But you know, when the two sides are completely different widths, yeah, it becomes, you know, you're having to start grinding really far into the blade. You know what I'm saying. But it is still, the rest of the knife is really well finished. It is it's smooth. It is a fidget toy. You know, it's got nice sound to it. Those ceramic bearings and that ceramic detent ball do make it really smooth. And let me, just for you, I'm going to leave a little bit more of my thumb in that hole there. You know, it does fly. It's ridiculous. It does fly out. So yeah, stunning knife. Great EDC knife, lovely size. I mean, that's a really small knife, so fits in your pocket. It's light. You don't know the knife is there, and as I say, you can sit and fidget with this knife all day long. So let's just do the size comparison with my usual suspects. I don't have necessarily the usual suspects used on other channels, but I'm going to go through the ones that I've been using. First is the Medford MIDI Marauder, and I checked out one of my other videos where I did a size comparison. I'm trying to think what it was with. I think it was the Todd knife and tool, the Bestech, the Shodan. And the sizes didn't look, you know, as close as they did to me with the naked eye, and that's, you know, I realize I've got a slight perspective here. So the knives, you know, one I suppose should do it both ways, kind of like look at it that way to do a size comparison, and that way, because sometimes when the knives are quite close, the knife a little bit further, because of that perspective, does look slightly shorter. Anyway, not that these two are close, but there you go. So there's the size comparison with the Medford. Here's a knife that's probably closer to it in terms of size, although quite a bit smaller actually. That's the Benchmade Barrage. Yeah, maybe I should do that here now. Yeah, well, there's enough of a size difference that it's not going to make a difference in this instance. Right, waffle, mutter, mumble. And then we've got the Spyderco Manix 2 for size comparison as well. So really nice, small knife. It is well made, it is well finished, it does have those few quirks, so just be aware of that if you're looking at a knife. I would just be careful about checking the edge on the knife that you get. Make sure that you get a decent one. Maybe it was isolated to a batch that we got here, but yeah, be aware of that. Overall, really nice knife. I recommend it. It is sharp, by the way, even though that edge is a little bit rough. But great knife. Oh, what I did want to mention is that there, you know, there is a less expensive version of this knife as well. where the handle is aluminium, and you get it in a green finish, a black finish, and a orange finish. I think there might be a red and an orange finish as well. And it doesn't have the M390 blade steel, and for the life of me I cannot think what blade steel they use on that, but it is sort of a budget version of this knife. It is the identical size, it has the holes drilled into it, does feel good in hand, but if you like this design, and you're willing to compromise on some of the materials just to get this size knife and this feel of knife, there is that option available as well. Right, because I think that is pretty much it for this review. Please, if you've stuck around this far, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done it. Help me grow this channel. And we'll see you next time around. Thanks so much for sticking around and for swinging by, and God bless.